Supercar fans, back for 2019 doing the first episode of the recaps. Last week, this weekend just passed, the Adelaide Superloop 500 was on and it was absolutely awesome just to see the cars back out on the road and see all the drivers and see how happy the fans were, and good on to the Red Hot Chili Peppers for turning it on Sunday night. That was awesome. I actually didn't go. It just sounds like I went, but no, I didn't go. We've got a lot to talk about today, guys. It was an absolutely fantastic weekend to see, like I said, to see all the cars back on the road. I think it was like 98 days or something since the cars hadn't been on the road, and time absolutely flew. And now we're back to a new season, and it's really, really good to see everyone had a good holiday and whatever else, and it's great to see the cars back on the track. But yeah, so what an introduction that was. But guys, this is the Superloop Adelaide 500 recap, and we're going to talk about it right now.
He's going to make a very special name in history here. He is the winner of the Super 2 Auto Bathurst 1000.
So guys, heading into qualifying, there was actually 2 qualifying sessions this year, to start the weekend, and there was also 2 shootouts as well. And we're going to just quickly go through the results here for you. So, for qualifying one for race 1 of the year, Scott McLaughlin ended up doing a 1:19.5983, which was the quickest time of the weekend so far, and he had a provisional pole ahead of Jamie Whincup, Fabian Coulthard, Nick Percat, who made it into the top 10 shootout. Cam Waters also making it into the top 10. Will Davison, Shane Van Gisbergen, Rick Kelly, David Reynolds and James Courtney all advancing to the top 10 shootout. And then after that we had Tim Slade, Chaz Mostert, Andre Heimgartner, Lee Holsworth got 14th. So it was a really, really good and impressive qualifying for him, considering that he hasn't had the pace, or he hasn't really had the car behind him in the last couple of years, but it was good to see him up there. Scott Pye in 15th, Mark Winterbottom, who started his career in a Holden, started this year in a Holden, and for Charlie Schwerkop in Team 18, ended up finishing 16th in qualifying. Macaulay Jones, who is now replacing Tim Blanchard at Cool Drive, he had a really, really good qualifying session in 17th. Richie Stenaway going over to Boost Mobile, which is now a part of Gary Rogers Motorsport, finishes 18th, and his partner James Golding finishes 19th. Gary Jacobson, who one of our new rookies with Macaulay Jones, finishes 20th. Todd Hazelwood, who had a really, really good weekend, started his campaign in 21st in the qualifying for race 1. Simone Di Salvestro, Jack LeBrock and Anton Di Pasquale, who crashed out early in the qualifying part of that, which was a really, really big hit into turn 8, ended up getting back out on the track and doing his thing. So the top 10 shootout, guys, for race 1, we had Fabian Coulthard, who started on pole, Jamie Whincup, who didn't really move a position and lost a couple of tenths. Actually, he did a 1:19.3, I think it was, a 1:19.8, sorry, in the qualifying session. Only did a 1:20.2 in this. Scott McLaughlin finishes 3rd. Cam Waters 4th, Shane Van Gisbergen, who was struggling all weekend for pace, finished 5th. David Reynolds, Will Davison, Nick Percat, James Courtney and Rick Kelly. That was your top 10 shootout. And the results are there, but we're not going to do them straight away. We're going to get right into the race, guys. So the first lap was actually really, really good. It was nice and clean to start the year. It was really good. But they showed some footage of Fabian Coulthard actually jumping the start, and at his first pit stop had to do a 10-second time penalty when he went into the pit stop. So that was unfortunate. That kind of put him out of contention for a little bit. Ended up coming back and whatever else. Whincup and Shane Van Gisbergen were racing hard into turn 15, which resulted in a change for position. It was mounting for a couple of laps now, but finally at turn 14, Jamie kind of just put Shane Van Gisbergen on the grass a little bit, made him go a little bit wide, and then Whincup on the inside just took him into turn 14, and the what do they call it, radio days engineering thing came over the radio and said, like, if you want to pass him, just do it. So whatever. Cam Waters, the only one to have a cool suit failure in 41-degree conditions. It was sad to see him go out of contention. He was racing really, really well at the time. And it was sad, and especially in 41 degrees, you're adding another 20 degrees to that inside the cabin, so it was roughly around 61 degrees, and you can only imagine. But he actually didn't complain. He was like, it went out for a bit, and he managed to go with it. But the engineers, because there's a duty of care, in the sport, they got to actually go with that. So he had to come in and he parked it for a few laps, which sucked because obviously, like I said, he put him out of condition. Whoops. Lap 11 saw Fabian Coulthard serves his penalty and had to do the pit stop as well. So he actually pitted first and then done his time penalty as well. They just basically pulled the air jack out once everything was done, and then he served his 10-second time penalty. And I'll tell you what, that time penalty must feel like it's going forever. Lap 14, Reynolds and Holsworth pits and rejoins in 20 and 21st. So they were actually in contention for a bit, and then they pitted and then it bumped them down. And then lap 19, Shane Van Gisbergen and Will Davison. So a bit of the leaders here just pitting. Jamie Whincup pitted on lap 21, and Waters has jumped out of the car due to the cool suiting issue, and he ended up rejoining towards the end of the race. And then on lap 22, the last of the leaders, Scott McLaughlin, ended up pitting, and that was pretty much it for the first round of pit stops. Lap 27. Now, there was a lot of controversy last weekend, about the turn 6 and turn 7 exits. If you recall last year, track limits was a really, really big thing here at Adelaide, and they extended they brought the walls up a lot further, about 15 to 20 metres, right up on the curb. So they couldn't ride over the curbs now and whatever else, they actually had to ride on the curbs. And Lee Holsworth was the only one that got stuck out of it all weekend, and he ended up rejoins race at lap 33, but he was 6 laps down. So after that, that's when it all happened. Lap 27, Lap 27, Holsworth spins and hits the wall at turn 7, and then Scott Pye joined him after that, and both of them had pitted. And then Holsworth rejoins the race at lap 33, and he was 6 laps down. So that was kind of sad. He put him out of contention, and Scott Pye ended up retiring at the end of the race. Cam Waters was back out at lap 35, so it was good to see. All the cool suit issue must have been done and whatever else. Plus, it was getting a little bit cooler as well. Being a twilight race as well, I think it started at what time did it start up here? I think it was like 6:10 or some shit like that. So it was actually quite late. Oh no, sorry, it finishes at 6:10. So it was like 4:30 or something it started. So by the time he came back out, it would have been a lot cooler in there, but not as much. But he ended up rejoining anyway. Lap 49, Shane Van Gisbergen and Chaz Mostert fighting for ages, and Mostert locked the front wheels going in to the escape road at lap 4. Now that was actually brewing for a bit. Chaz had a lot of pace in that race. Tried to get past Gizzy a lot of times, but ended up not getting past him at all. And then when he finally had the opportunity, he locked his front brakes and ended up going down the escape road at turn 4, which sucked because that kind of bumped him down into that as well. Team penalty for Matt Stone Racing, 38 points and a $3,000 fine. Breach of pit lane infringement. The carjack, once they released the car out of Hazelwood's last pit stop, they released the car, and the carjack actually underneath the car had dislodged itself, and when he took off, it stayed down, and when he took off, it sprung out. So they got penalised for that. And there was not much really after that, as Scott McLaughlin won the first race of the year ahead of Jamie Whincup and Shane Van Gisbergen, and I will just go through the results right now. So Scott McLaughlin ahead of Jamie Whincup. It was a 12-second gap, so it was huge. Shane Van Gisbergen finishes 3rd on the podium. Will Davison had a really, really good run in 4th. Chaz Mostert fighting with Gizzy that whole time, ended up being 5th. Fabian Coulthard, after the 10-second time penalty, fought his way back to 6th, so he was the driver of the day, in my opinion. Nick Percat pretty much stayed in the same spot all day, and he was just in 7th. David Reynolds, again, also there. Mark Winterbottom, James Courtney, Rick Kelly, Todd Hazelwood had a really, really good race car. It was really good. He ended up finishing 12th. Andre Heimgardner, James Golding, Simona Di Silvestro, her highest this year, her highest position this year. On Anton De Pasquale, who started 24th, ended up finishing 16th. Now, obviously, Cam Waters was in the pit lane, but that doesn't count. There was a car missing. I'm not sure who it was, but Tim Slade finishes 17th. Richie Stenaway 18th. Gary Jacobson, his best result being a rookie in 19th so far this year. Lee Holsworth ended up rejoining the race, but he was obviously 6.8 laps down and finishes in 21st, as Cam Waters finishes 22nd, and then Scott Pye ended up being 23rd. So guys, that is race 1 out of the way. Thank God for that. Let's head into race 2. So qualifying, we'll start with qualifying first. So qualifying was actually really, really good. There was a lot of 19s, so it was a really, really tight battle. The first 20 cars were separated by 1 second, so that's a big difference to what it was previous years. I remember it was like 16th or something, and it'd be like 1 second, but it was very, very, very tight this year. So Scott McLaughlin ended up getting the pole for now. Chaz Mostert finishes 2nd. Cam Waters had a really, really good qualifying car all weekend. He had a really, really good qualifying car. Nick Percat, again, advancing to the top 10 shootout, as well as Fabian Coulthard, David Reynolds. Anton T. Pasquale, after that little bit of a stack the day before, got 7th and ended up being in the top 10 shootout. Will Davison finishes 8th. Now, the big one was Todd Hazelwood. Ended up going up to 2nd with like 30 seconds to go or some stuff. And it was absolutely cool to see Hazelwood up there. And we knew that the times were running out very, very slowly. So we knew that Todd was going to eventually get into the top 10 shootout, which was awesome. But with the times, like he was only, He was only 0.2 of a second off. So it could have went either way. But it was good to see Todd finally get into the top 10 shootout. And he was absolutely stoked there. Shane Van Gisbergen took out the last top 10 shootout spot, and he was the first one to obviously go out. And then we had Tim Slade, Jamie Whincup, who finishes 12th, Scott Pye, Lee Holsworth again 14th, James Courtney, Rick Kelly, Andre Heimgardner, James Golding, Richie Stenaway, Simona Di Silvestro, Macca Jones, who had a really, really, really big stack the day before, that's right. He had a massive crash, and it was actually quite bad. Jack LeBrock finishes 22nd, Gary Jacobson finishes 23rd, and Mark Winterbottom, look again there, Mark Winterbottom didn't actually set a time. He set a time in the second sector, but that was only a 1:08. So by the time, I think it was a power steering belt or something, that was Scott McLaughlin's car. What happened to, Mark Winterbottom had this major issue that happened in the car. It wasn't engine related. I think it was something to do with power steering, but he ended up not doing a qualifying spot anyway. So into the shootout now, guys. Scott McLaughlin took provisional pole. Oh, that was the word I was looking for before, provisional. Scott McLaughlin took pole position for race 2 ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen, Fabian Coulthard, David Reynolds, Cam Waters, Will Davison, Nick Percat, Todd Hazelwood, who finished 8th. Anton De Pasquale and Chaz Mostert got a curve hop heading into the first 2 corners, so that kind of put him out, which sucked too, because heading into the second... See, that's the weird thing. When you get I always had this weird thing that when you get a curve hop at... Because he obviously wasn't aware of it. He finally got aware of it when he reached the second sector, I think, into the hairpin. Now, usually, if it was me, if I was the engineer... As soon as that happened, I'll be like, look, Chaz, you got to curve hop, save the tyres, do whatever. Because obviously they got set on, he was sent on green tyres. And he just lost all grip in those tyres by the time he got to turn 9, which is the hairpin. So, yeah, it was quite strange how they just didn't let him know before. But, yeah, he ended up getting the curve hop and started 10th on the grid. So that sucked. He started 10th, but ended up having a really, really good race. So guys, race 2 now. Race 2 was a little bit more hectic than the first one. The first lap we had Simona spin down at the entry of turn 4, but rejoined obviously as Andre Heimgardner, Mark Winterbottom and James Courtney pitted at the first lap of the race, just to get some clean air and whatever else. Lap 9, Macaulay Jones was in the pit lane for a battery voltage issue, as Whincup and Waters pitted on lap 10. 5-second time penalty for Richie Stenaway for turn 8 breach. Now, I'm pretty sure what this is that there is like a Manly agreement for the turn 8 corner. Now, obviously, you can't go 2 by 2 into there, one like side by side into there. So one of them has got to yield, and I think the reason why Stenaway got that 5-second time penalty was because he didn't yield, and he fought on into turn 8. I don't know who it was with, but yeah, we ended up finding out later that he got the 5-second time penalty, which sucked because that obviously put him out. Todd Hazelwood in at lap 13 from 7th. He could have actually been a potential top 5 contender, which was great. Lee Hosworth locks his rear wheels into turn 4. That was actually quite weird spin for him. Oh, he didn't actually spin, he just locked the rears. But it was quite weird because he complained the lap before about not having rear brakes, and obviously that showed its true remorse into it, and it was nearly the same thing as what happened yesterday, but he ended up rejoining in P12 and obviously pitted at lap 20. Scott Pye with the moment at turn 14, dipped the left wheels into the grass, and Kelly up beside him. That was really good. It was quite clean racing all weekend. It was really good. It was good to see. It was really fun. It was a really fun and quick race, actually. It was really good. Shane Van Gisbergen pits on lap 23. First of the leaders, and McLaughlin came in on lap 24. And the safety car came out at, don't know when, but it was for turn 11 for Jack LeBrock. He just stopped on the track, and it was weird. So that was pretty weird. I don't actually know if he rejoined. Let me just have a look at the results real quick. Yes, he did end up rejoining, but yeah, it was just out of the blue. He just stopped randomly on the track, so that was kind of weird. So the safety car came out, and then one of the big talking points of the weekend, there was a major accident in pit lane with Mostert getting released right into Rick Kelly. Oh well, he actually didn't get released straight away, due to like the double stacking situation and whatever else. And we're going to get to that in a minute. There was a double stacking situation with Red Bull and Shell, which caused Mostert to get released and then get pushed back. And then when he finally went out into the fast lane of the pit lane, Rick Kelly was right there, and he actually rotated 90 degrees Mostert and blocked the whole pit lane. Apart from Tim Slade, he ended up getting through. But we're actually going to show that footage right now, guys, and you can have a look for yourself.
He had to bobble for a while. He had to deal with the Shell car. Here we go. Contact, Murph. Yeah. Actually, this is a bad one.
That is massive.
That's blocked the whole pit lane.
Blocked the lane, guys. They had to pull Mostert back because he got stuck behind Coulthard, and then they released him straight, obviously, into the weight of Rick Kelly. And now Coulthard is stuck as well. It is chaos in here. The 88 is now moving, which is going to release Coulthard.
How's Courtney pushing Hazelwood through the pit? This is chaos. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. That's what it is. Yeah, he's got reverse gear in the pit lane. You can't do that for sure. So he grabbed reverse then Mostert, so he's in trouble. That's a debacle for Tickford. They messed the stop up because they were going to jump Van Gisbergen, and then they have that go on.
So as you can see there, Chaz had a little bit of damage after that incident, after he just pitted. He had to come back into the pits, and he actually got a pit lane penalty for that, and Rick Kelly ended up parking up his car, which sucked because he was actually on really good pace all week, and ended up not parking it in and not finishing the race. Lap 53, Coulthard turns Jacobson at turn 4 and receives a pit lane penalty for it. It was quite lazy for Fabian. They came out of turn 3 and heading into turn 4. Fabian was just not right up there, and he just rotated himself. It was a little bit lazy for him. Lap 60, Andre Heimgartner tries to pass on David Reynolds, but spins him at turn 14, so that was quite interesting as well. And then after that, it was a time-certain race because of the incident that we had in pit lane and whatever else. Oh, well, with the safety car and whatever. So that ended up doing that. And then Shane Van Gisbergen, not Shane Van Gisbergen, he got third. But Scott McLaughlin ended up winning ahead of Cam Waters and Shane Van Gisbergen. Now Shano, good old Shano, on the podium, not on the podium, but went after like they do their like the post-race interviews and stuff. Shane Van Gisbergen 2 days in a row ended up taking photos with both Scott McLaughlin, Jamie Whincup and Cam Waters. The only time it ever changed was when Cam Waters was in and Jamie Whincup finished second. So they were the only two that finished. So yeah, it was actually really, really funny to see that the rivalry is still there between Gizzy and McLaughlin, but it's going to be really heated up during the year. So, race 2, guys, we've seen Scott McLaughlin taking it over Cam Waters ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen in third. Tim Slade ended up being fourth, which was a great result for him, and Nick Percat as well finishes fifth. Mark Winterbottom, who finished last in the qualifying, ended up finishing sixth. So he was the driver of the day. It was quite up and down between, like when I was doing my like driver vote of the day, it was very, very hard to choose between Todd Hazelwood and Mark Winterbottom. I ended up picking Todd Hazelwood, but Mark Winterbottom, with all congrats, ended up getting sixth from starting last on the grid. Jamie Whincup finishes seventh. Will Davison, David Reynolds, Todd Hazelwood ended up finishing in the top 10. So that's actually a really good spot for him to be. Now, if he finishes there a lot this year, he's going to be a really, really good person to look out for next year. And maybe put him on the market. That'd be great. Lee Holsworth finishes 11th. That's his best result since like the Newcastle races. I don't think he's ever finished, well, lately. Apart from Newcastle, I don't think he's finished in the top 10 for a long time. So it's good to see him back up there. James Courtney finishes 12th. Andre Heimgartner 13th. Anton De Pasquale, Chaz Mostert, with all that stuff going on, ended up finishing 15th. Simona Di Silvestro 16th. Another good strong effort from her. Scott Pye, Richie Stanaway, James Golding, Fabian Coulthard, who had so many penalties during the weekend, ended up finishing 20th. Jack LeBrock, Gary Jacobson, Macaulay Jones and Rick Kelly, who didn't end up finishes 24th. So guys, that is it. That is the recap done. I'm so happy that the Supercars are back on. It was absolutely awesome and it was just fantastic as well. So guys, that's pretty much it. Stick around though, I'm going to do another video in just a second about this whole new tipping competition and whatever else. I'm just going to read out the list of people. I'm not going to make like a little fancy table or anything for it, but I'm going to read them out soon. And yeah, it was really, really good. So guys, stick around for that. Thank you so much for listening to the recap. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've watched the weekend, leave your comment down on your favourite part of the weekend. I know that mine was the pit lane drama. That was absolutely awesome because I've never seen that happen before. And it was quite interesting to see. So guys, that is it. Like I said, stick around. But if you're not, don't like the video, subscribe if you're new, share it around, dislike it if you want to care. Leave a comment on your favourite part of the week and I shall see you all next time. So guys, here is the tipping competition. Now I did say at the end of each round that I'm going to do this, so I'm going to actually just read through our championship. Now I do mind you, sorry, if I do pronounce your name wrong, I do apologise, so just bear with me on this. But at the end of round 1 for the tipping competition, we've seen Darren finish first on 6 points, and he is equal with, I'm pretty sure how you say this name, Katrina, pretty sure. But the reason why there's a difference there, and the reason why Darren's up first and Katrina's at second, is because of a margin. Now, the margin is just this like time thing that you got to put in as well, between like the first and second thing and whatever else, and it's just weird. But the reason why is because Darren got a 0.4 of a second difference between Katrina's 2.8 second difference. So that's the only reason why it's so different there. But we'll move on. Third place goes to Charles with a 0.6 of a difference. Now I'm actually running 4th, but I'm equal with 4 other people. And the reason why I'm running 4th is because my margin was a lot closer than what theirs was. Flynn finished 5th on 4 points. Bernard and John also finishes on 4 points. But Bernard and John are on equal. They're 4.61 for 7th of a second between each other. Then Joey finishes 8th with 3 points, and he's equal with my cousin Charisse, who got a 4.6 seconds difference, and my mate from down in Newcastle, Damien, who got a 7.6 second difference. So there you go. And Jason, welcome to the championship, mate. you haven't actually set a time or a thing yet. You must have just recently gone on before the weekend started. But welcome to this league. I hope you guys enjoyed that. But at the end of the week, guys, or at the end of this competition, there is a major prize at the end of it, and it's actually really, really, really cool. You get, just give me a second, and I will find it for you. Gonna go back. Just give us a second, guys. Here we go. Prizes. So, if you end up being first overall, you get 2 return flights to Adelaide from your nearest capital city. This is for next year's Adelaide 500. 4 nights accommodation in Adelaide, 2 tickets to the Supercars most exclusive corporate experiences, the Virgin Australia Paddock Club, 2 course car rides around Adelaide Street Circuit, and 2 grid walk passes to walk on the grid ahead of the start of the 2020 Adelaide 500. Now, that's actually quite cool. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th places, tippers finishing 2nd through to 5th will win Coles Express vouchers of the following amounts. So 2nd place gets 1,000, 3rd place gets 500, 4th place gets 250, and 5th place gets $100. Now that's actually really, really cool, and it's really generous too of that. But yeah, this is absolutely awesome. I love this idea. It's about time they actually came up with something like this. But yeah, it's actually really, really fun. So guys, if you want to do that, make sure you go and register to tipping.supercars.com. Go to My Leagues, go into the search bar, type in Supercars with Shane, and you'll be able to get a mention each weekend on the channel and whatever. Oh, well, not each weekend, but each time there's a recap on and whatever else, and you will end up getting onto this as well. So, guys, congratulations to first and through to wherever. Hope you liked where you finished. I know that there's going to be a couple that don't, but yeah, it's actually really, really cool, and I kind of like it. But the points thing is correctly tip the podium positions, you get 2 points for that. Incorrect tip podium position, but still make it on the podium, you get 1 for that. Correct tipping the entire podium, you get 7. And then incorrect tipping, you don't get any at all. So if you don't get any driver that goes on the podium, you don't get any tips. So I'm pretty sure in the second race I had Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen finish in the spots, but I think 3rd place was out, and that's why I screwed it up. But I know that I made Scott finish in the first. Scott McLaughlin finish in the first 3 in race 1, so that's why I got 4 points. But guys, that's actually it. That's enough talking for one day. I'm going to go have some dinner now because I'm getting phone call after phone call. Guys, hope you enjoyed the recap. Please like the video if you do. Dislike it if you want. Leave a comment down on your favourite part of the weekend if you end up watching it. Subscribe if you're new. And guys, I shall see you in 2 weeks for the Bo Ryans. I'm pretty sure. No, not Bo Ryan. Bo Ryan's a football player. Bo Repairs 400 at Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix. If you're a Formula 1 fan, that's the same weekend the Formula 1's are on as well. So guys, do all that good stuff. Leave a like, dislike if you want, leave a comment down, subscribe if you're new. I shall see you all in 2 weeks in Melbourne.